I grew up in, I don't know, in sort of the age or the era, or maybe it was just the family culture where I felt like, you know, a man should choose me. And then I would be lucky to be chosen, right? So he chose me. He was 27 and I was 19, and we got married and we had a beautiful daughter. I just have one daughter.
Did anyone think you were too young to get married at that point? I mean, 19 is pretty young, right?
You know, the only person that said something to me was my roommate. And she just refused to come to my wedding, but she was older also.
She refused to come because she thought it was like too much?
Yeah, I was 19. What does a young woman know about themselves at 19? I don't think you know a lot, at least I didn't. I surely didn't. I wasn't very worldly. I hadn't been around. I hadn't dated. I mean, I told her, my advice to her was, you should date. And you should date not because you're evaluating somebody else. It's because you're evaluating yourself. So if you go out with a young man and you have a dinner and you say, oh, he doesn't have any manners, then you should say to yourself, I don't like people who don't have manners. Or
and jot that down.
Yes. Or he has a sense of humor that I don't like. I don't like people with this type of sense of humor. It's about finding out about yourself. Or I don't like people who are arrogant, or I don't like people who are angry, or whatever it is that you don't like about them. It's really not about them, it's about yourself and trying to learn about yourself. What's the definition of dating, right?
I don't know. You know what? I want to come up with a different definition of dating than what we see in the movies, because for the Middle East we can't really date, so then we would have to come up with an acceptable way to see if you like this person or not. And I think that what we're doing, just going with them to dinners and coming back, may not be showing.
You come to my house,
element. Yeah.
I put in my living room, my formal living room, a ping pong table. I didn't have formal furniture. I put a ping pong table there. And so when she was a teenager, I said she wasn't really allowed to go a lot of people's houses, but they are all welcome.
Go here and play.
Yes, and play ping pong and stay downstairs with swimming pool too, and stay downstairs, and that's how you get to know people. Right? And that's what I told her. That's how you get to know people.
With time, basically, by spending time.
Spending time together.
I think I told you in a phone call before that I was discussing with my husband, because every time we go over this about the fact that we have girls, and I want them to be able to make an informed decision that's based on real knowledge of a person, and the way it's done, it's kind of a gloss over, and you go into life with this person, you may not know a lot about him. And he was understandably like edgy about it and saying, what are you suggesting? How far out do you want them to go? What do you want them to experiment with? And I was saying, if we demystified even marriage to a point where people were allowed to do it without the huge pomp and ceremony, without all the money involved, so that relationship in and of itself could be something that's a trial and not seen as a decision you made at 19 or 20 or 25, and that this is a decision you're stuck with regardless of the fact that no one can make a decision that stands the test of time just at one point in their life. And
no, I don't know if I agree with that marriage can be thought of as a trial. But I do think, because I do think that marriage, in my opinion, should be sacred, and it should be a bond, and it should be, if you don't go into it with 100% or 200% of your heart, it's hard enough just to be in the same space with another human being.
Yeah.
Much less.
But the reason I'm saying is a trial is because you can't try that space in the culture I come from. It's hard to do a trial in any other setup.
Well, and what's a trial? You know, again, I think it's more about what I tried to teach my daughter. You have to know yourself first. And obviously I didn't know myself. And in fact, knowing yourself is a lifelong journey. You don't get there, right? Yeah. But you have to know enough about yourself that you can choose somebody who is compatible with you. And just the fact that I said you choose instead of you are chosen is a generational thing.
And it means that you've already shifted.